Are you lost in the chaos of today's society? If all you need is a daily dose of quick updates on social matters around you, then look no further and tune into The Far Side, an 8-minute social inquiry podcast by English Club of Foreign Trade University. Strap in and get yourselves ready to look at the world from a whole new perspective. And it all starts right now. Hi, I'm Tuấn, and welcome to the first episode of The Far Side, a social inquiry podcast by English Club of Foreign Trade University. Joining me today is my co-host, Cam.
Good evening, everyone. I cannot express how excited I am to be here. It's nice to be a part of something new for a change.
Oh, really? So, what is a normal day to you then? Like, there has to be something you can share with us.
So I've just been watching some movies lately, and a particular one that caught my attention. Have you ever heard of the movie Split by M. Night Shyamalan?
Wait, was that the one about a guy who had a bunch of different personalities? And in the end, he ended up kidnapping 3 girls?
Yeah, that's the one. I think it was amazing, but apparently it underwent a lot of criticism for its terrible portrayal of mental disorder.
Oh, I've read an article about this. So, some experts in psychology said that the film glorified the dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short, which is a mental illness that involves disruption or breakdowns of memory, awareness, identity, and even a person's perception. And it was something that the main protagonist was suffering from.
Exactly. His identity having superhuman strength to the point of taking a shotgun blast
Yeah.
without so much of a scratch was quite, yeah, unrealistic.
Yeah, and but aside from that, like his other personalities were also heavily dramatized, weren't they? Like DID patients in real life are rarely as violent as shown in the movies. They're even more likely to hurt themselves rather than other people.
Right. And the problem is much bigger than just accurately representing a person
Yeah, exactly.
suffering from DID. It has a much larger impact on people's perception of mental disorder patients. And in case you're wondering, mental disorder is a behavioral or mental patterns that causes significant distress or impairment of personal functioning, and it falls on the larger scope of mental health. Some prevalent forms of mental disorders may include depression or, yeah, bipolar disorder.
You obviously know more about this field than me. So, would you consider DID a mental disorder?
Yes, and when you represent someone with mental disorders as either being scheming, malicious, or just outright brutal and beastly, like the last personality, it would push the idea to the general populace that DID patients are actually dangerous and are potential menaces to society, while in reality, they are anything but.
You got a point. And I also remember having seen plenty of research showing how the mass media is actually the primary source of public information about mental illnesses.
Exactly. And Split isn't the only bad apple in the bunch. Movies like The Visit also did a poor job of depicting mental illness, and in this case, schizophrenia.
Oh, I've watched that one. And it was also directed by M. Night Shyamalan. What a coincidence. But yeah, the plot involves two teenagers who visit their grandparents, but start to notice some strange behaviors from them. The catch is those people are psychiatric patients who escaped and killed the real grandparents to take their place. The problematic elements are how the couple had vivid hallucinations, paranoias, and murderous tendencies. Because in reality, schizophrenia doesn't turn people into bloodthirsty murderers, and hallucinations are far from being the greatest challenge when dealing with this mental disorder.
Yeah, and what this movie does is pushing the fear of the mentally ill people onto the next generation, considering the audience mainly consists of teenagers and the kids who suffer from the symptoms won't actively seek for medical help due to the fear of being discriminated against and then shunned by the peers.
You know, Hollywood isn't the only one guilty of this either. I've seen other media doing an equally terrible job depicting mental illness. Like when the game Overwatch released a champion who's psychologically damaged from an experiment gone wrong, but in his visual design, he is barefooted because they wanted to sell the asylum look. This is referencing the fact that asylum patients used to not be issued footwear, owing to the fear of them hurting themselves and the staff. Frankly, I find this just to be lazy character design and just reinforce the idea that mental patients are dangerous.
Speaking of Asylum, there's a game pretty famous called Outlast. Yeah, that did horrible
Oh yeah.
too. Yeah, in the game, we play as a journalist who is trapped in an abandoned asylum and has to run away from all the mental patients. The way it presents the patient to be naked and filthy and brutish and acting in a savage manner build them up to be monsters in human flesh. Again, pushing the false idea that mental patients are dangerous.
Yeah, but we should keep in mind that not all media are bad. Like movies like Silver Linings Playbooks, which describe the range of emotion a person with bipolar disorder may face in a real and riveting way. Or Inside Out, a cute and charming animation that show how a teenage girl coped with moving to a new city and all the emotional distress she experienced are all great examples. And what a great time we have had here. And as much as I enjoy our discussion this episode, I think it's about time we wrap things up. Again, I am Tuấn.
And I am Cam, and that just concluded the first part of this episode of the Farsight podcast. Join us next time and find out how the second global pandemic might be on the rise.
And that is it for this episode. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what we do here, visit our Facebook fan pages, English Club of Foreign Trade University, and Mastermind, English Social Inquiry Contest, for regular updates, and we would love to hear your take on the matters we just discussed. A quick reminder, new episodes come out every Monday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on Google, Apple Podcast, and even Spotify, so make sure not to miss it. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.